Hi, it's Matthew from Matthew North Music here again. Now, today I'm going to talk about something that you might think, oh no, not another Beatles video. But yes, this is another Beatles video, although I'm not reviewing anything as such, but I am. Let me explain. Here I've got some Beatles records. Now, it wasn't so long ago, about 6-8 weeks ago, I popped into my local HMV because there's one Beatles album I've never owned, and that is the Yellow Submarine album. And I thought, well, it's very hard to get an original copy because they didn't sell that well. And to get a first pressing in good condition is a three-figure sum. So I thought, well, I'll just buy a reissue because the stereo reissues are supposed to be pretty good. And so I went into HMV to buy one and I looked at the price tag and it was £39.99. Now, I'm all for supporting high street retailers, but 40 quid for a reissue single LP, it's not on. That's way too much money. I would have gone up to 20 quid. That's about going rate, I would say, for a single LP. So I went onto eBay and I had a look around. And then I remembered a set of LPs that came out 5 years ago now in 2017. And that was made by a magazine called DeAgostini. Now, they put out a series of Beatles albums, in fact, all of them. And they sold them with a magazine. And the idea was you bought all the albums and the magazines came with the album and you could put the magazines in a binder. It's a bit like the sort of Orbis collections and various other things we had in the 80s. Like we had things like Car Care, and there was a thing called The History of Rock, which was like a series of records with magazines. I think the magazines were separate, but then you could buy the records to go with it. And it's one of these things, you just buy it bit by bit and then you get the whole set. Now the DeAgostini set, in time you would get things like a box to put the LPs in, very much like the Beatles in stereo box. There was a binder for the magazines and so on. Anyway, these albums were part of this series. They then got sold off in job lots, the unsold copies. And you do find them on eBay quite a lot. And if I flick through these that I've bought so far, and we will find Yellow Submarine. So I bought Yellow Submarine, and I wasn't too sure what the sound quality would be like or anything else, because I initially thought these were just overruns from the Beatles stereo pressings that they did in 2012, and they were trying to get rid of dead stock. Not so. These are actually specifically pressed for this series, and I'll show you some telltale signs on them in a minute. But I bought this album and I paid, I paid about £18 for it, and it wasn't quite as advertised, and I'll show you for why. You can see it's got the surround with it and everything else. We flick through the photos. Well, this one is showing it opened with the inner sleeve and the record. That's the sleeve, and that's the DeAgostini label on it. So yeah, that record is what I got sent, but I was not sent it with the surround. So I would guess this seller had more than one copy and he was selling them off, and he just happened to send me one that wasn't complete. I did complain about this, but I had no satisfaction from the seller, so I left him neutral feedback. Anyway, I've got quite a few of these DeAgostinis now, and I'm just going to show you a couple little details on them. And I've got a feeling I know what the problem is with a lot of these that you find on eBay. Now this was rubber sole that I bought, and you can clearly see it's showing you the card surround, and it's got the barcode on the wrapper. Okay, this is the sleeve of the rubber sole that I bought. And if you remember from the listing I've just showed you, it's supposed to have come fully packed with the original card and booklet. There was no booklet with it at all. And if you just look at the corner of the cover here, you can see that's got a lot of creasing on it. And on the edge of the sleeve here, it's all creased as well. That's because when this turned up, it wasn't packed in a regular album mailer. It was actually just wrapped in a bit of bubble wrap in a plastic bag, and that was it. And that's all I got was the LP. Now the actual disc itself was in pretty good shape. I can't complain about the disc. And I've got the disc here inside its PVC that I put the record in. And if I take the disc out, yeah, it looks pretty good. You can tell this is like a sort of a DMM mastered LP because of the style of the grooves, which may or may not show up on camera. But no, the record was fine, but the sleeve, no. I mean, that would be classed as sort of VG if that was in a shop, and you can see on that side as well, it's all creased. So that was not a good buy, and it certainly wasn't as advertised. And this is one of two that I've purchased from one seller, which I haven't yet opened. This is with the Beatles, and you can see it's got the card surround with it. So it looks like it's all complete. And if we look at the back, it's got the hype strip and everything on the back. So I'm hoping this and another album that I've bought will be complete as they are supposed to be. Now it comes to unboxing time. Now, these records arrived a few weeks ago and I haven't opened it. But I'm feeling a little bit more optimistic about this. For one thing, it's been packed in a mailer, but it's been extended. That would make me think this has actually got the cards with it, as the advert stated. And he has at least written, "Please do not bend" on it. So let's open this up and see what we've got. Haha! This looks like the first time I've actually found these records with the cards. And there they are. With the Beatles and Hard Day's Night. Now, I already have a copy of Hard Day's Night and I ordered that one by mistake. But it's complete. It's got its card. It'll have its booklet. That is what I expect. I do not expect an LP that doesn't have the book and has been unsealed. Even though I've made a bit of a fuss about the fact I want these sealed and I want them as new because that's what I'm expecting to buy, I will of course be opening this because I buy records to play, but I want to keep the hype card because it is part of the package. Now this has had a little knock there, there's a little crease there, but I'm not overly worried about that. At least the seller has made an effort. Let me just take this out first. So there's our record. We should have our booklet. Yep, there's our booklet. And this is the sleeve. As it turns out, this has actually been double wrapped because there's the wrapper here and then there's the wrapper on the sleeve. Okay, so this is the card that advertises everything. It's got here, it's got an anthology and revolver there. And then it's got what's coming in the next issue, which should have been anthology one for £24.99, which is a pretty good deal. But if we actually look at this card, you can see that the White Album was a double, Love was a double, the Red and the Blues a double, but then you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 triple albums. So that's actually an awful lot of vinyl for, you know, £25 a pop. So yeah, I think this was actually a good value series when it came out. I think if this came out now, post Get Back, post vinyl becoming a lot more popular again, I think these would have sold in greater numbers. Anyhow, this is the LP. So I'm going to get rid of this bit of shrink wrap. Let's get rid of that because that is not staying on the sleeve because it will ultimately damage the cover. Now let's look at the sleeve. This, if you look on the back, we've got this sticker here. Now, there's a lot of Beatles albums being advertised on eBay and Amazon that are giving the impression they are the 2012 EMI reissues. But if you look at the photo, you'll see one of these stickers. If you see one of those stickers, you know immediately it's a DeAgostini one, not a proper EMI one. And on the back, there's some extra writing here which mentions DeAgostini, so there's no question what this record actually is. Okay, let's take a look at the booklet now. Now, the booklet is actually not very big, but it does have, let's have a look here. It's nice quality pictures, and you know, it's got interesting, informative sleeve notes to go with the photos. And there's a nice picture there of the Beatles at the Cavern. You know, it's not great, but I think if you've got the whole set of these, it would make quite a reasonable book, to be fair. In fact, I would have thought it would have actually been a nicer thing to do, would have been to make like a hardback book that you could have bought for a tenner or something, rather than having these in a folder. But anyway, that's what the booklet looks like. But as I said, a lot of people are selling these booklets separate to the records, and so that they're effectively making more money out of the sale. They're selling the album for £20 and they're selling the booklet for a fiver. Okay, so my thoughts about these records are this. The people that put them out, DeAgostini, were effectively a publishing company, like a magazine book company. They were selling these records off in job lots. It wasn't so long ago I was seeing adverts on eBay for like 10 copies of Rubber Soul for like 50 quid and that sort of thing. So people were buying them in job lots and then selling them on again. What I think is happening is the people that are selling these, they're not record dealers, they're not record collectors, they're just people that buy and sell job lots. And that's why they don't understand that when you want something, you want it complete. They think the backing card is, oh, it's just a backing card, throw it away. When in actual fact, a collector will want it because it's part of the item. Same with the booklets. Now, a lot of these people selling these albums have been taking the booklets out and selling them separately. But then when they advertise the album on the same eBay site, they are selling it as a complete thing. And when it turns up, you don't get the booklet. And that's exactly what happened with my copy of Yellow Submarine. There was no booklet with it. It was just the LP, the inner sleeve and the cover. So I would be very wary when you buy these. I would even ask the seller, if you can, to just verify that you will be getting the complete item. As for the quality of the records, to me, they seem decent enough pressings. The sound quality is okay. So a couple of them, like Abbey Road and the Please Please Me, have got slight scuff marks. Now, I don't know whether that was just how they were packed or whether it was an embellishment on the disc that was cutting the records. Sometimes you get a mark on the disc and that comes through onto the vinyl. But it's certainly a cheaper way of getting new Beatles records than going to the high street and maybe paying £25–30 for a single album, sometimes 40, and sometimes more for the double and the triples. I think when the original set came out, the albums were £17 each and the doubles or triples were 25. Now, £25 for a triple LP like the Anthology is actually a pretty good deal, and you're not going to get any of the anthologies for £25 from Amazon. So be wary, but you can get a set of Beatles stereo albums at a reasonable price if you buy these DeAgostinis, but just be careful where you get them from. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.